What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Volume podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. It was directed by Rian Johnson, and it has Daniel Craig. Let's get to it, guys.
Did you guys watch Knives Out, the first one?
Yes.
The first one was
Yes, I
great.
did. Like it?
Captain America.
I
was
watched it in
awesome.
2020. Yep. I loved
That
it.
when
We
it came
watched it
out?
for my brother's birthday. hmm
Oh yeah.
No, it came out in 2019. I watched it in 2020.
Oh, I see.
March. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Captain America was the one that did it. So,
Yeah, so did I.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler
Chris
spoiler
Evans.
alert for this movie as well. One thing I remember is that like his sweater was such a big deal. Chris Evans' sweater for the first one, that was hilarious. Like everybody
Oh,
loved
yeah.
his sweater. Everybody was freaking out about it, and then apparently he put it on his dog or got a sweater that looked like his sweater, and everybody was just freaking about that too on the interweb.
Yeah, I was getting pretty
But-
nuts. It was weird. But I mean, it was weird that it was in my feed. I'm like, I don't really do a lot of Chris Evans searches, so you know what I mean? I mean, it's not Chris Evans, Captain America,
We're looking
sure.
at
You know what I
Captain
mean?
America.
But then
Right.
again, people always put Captain America towards his name because he did such a great job with that character.
And he
yeah.
also was him
Mhm.
for like 15 years or something like that. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so, yeah, Daniel Craig did an incredible job in this one, just as it was in the first movie, Knives Out,
Mhm.
which I believe that is actually the name of the movie, right? Knives
Glass
Out.
Onion? Well,
No, the first one.
Oh yeah. The first one's called Knives Out, correct? Yes.
Right.
And then this
So-
one's called Glass Onion, a
Yeah,
Knives Out
yeah.
mystery. Right.
Yes.
Which I guess are based on. I think they're based on books. Are they not? That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that
I don't know if
it's a
I don't know
book.
if they're I don't know if they're like loosely based on books or if it's like an actual for kind of like verbatim. I think it's loosely based on a series. I can't remember who the writer is, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was a great movie. I thought it was interesting. I'm a sucker for murder mysteries.
Same.
I know, right, Randolph. I know Randolph is also a sucker for those. And for me, it's like I'm disappointed in murder mysteries where I can kind of solve it already beforehand, and I'm like, oh,
Like the
I figured
Adam
this is the
Sandler
person.
one.
And then when it happens, you're just like, yeah, I thought that was it already, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which kind of half did it with this movie. There was one twist in this movie that definitely took me for a loop, and I was like, didn't see that coming. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I am pleasantly surprised. Yay. Because most of the time I figure it out by at least by halfway. I'm just like, yeah, what a surprise. Right. But no, so yeah, this is a great movie. So the movie pretty much starts off with these, what was it? Is it 5 friends? Right?
They call themselves the
friends.
Disruptors.
Yeah, the Disruptors. So the people are Katie Hudson plays Birdie,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Brady
And then
J.
you have Catherine
Sounds
Hahn,
right.
Janelle Monet, Dave Batista, and Leslie Odom, right? Those are the friends. And then, well, and also Edward Norton, right? Who is the mastermind of the group.
Not so much of a
Miles
mastermind, but he planned it.
Well, as far as
so-
they know, he's
Yeah.
like the genius of the group or whatever, right? So they all get this box, except for Edward. Edward sends out these boxes to them, and they get it like it's pretty much a puzzle box, and they have to try to figure it out. And then once they did, there was like a invitation to a murder mystery
Mhm.
game party on his private island in the middle of Greece somewhere.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. And
And it was in the middle of a pandemic too.
yeah. What's Ryan? right? The director. I
Yeah.
was watching a video of him talking about like a scene, and he talked about how when he wrote it. It was during pretty much he finished it like during the pandemic, so he's like it's just kind of like natural for him to have everybody
To
wear
add it in.
masks. So yeah, to
Yeah.
add in
Yeah.
the whole mask situation.
Speaking
I thought
of
that was pretty cool.
speaking of the mask part, I was looking into it a little bit more, and I was wondering why Birdie's character had a netted mask, and then it just came up like each of them who wore a mask, because Dave Bautista's character didn't, because he's that guy, like he doesn't really care, so he didn't
He's
have
a
a mask,
disruptor.
right? And then Birdie didn't have a mask, and hers is, well, she did have a mask, but it was netted, and it was
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just like a
mentally.
mesh.
Yeah, and that's her personality, just like how Dave Bautista's personality is. You know, what the heck?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna want it. And of course, Blanc wears a legitimate, cloth mask that the CDC
Yeah.
approves. So, because
Mhm.
he's following the rules and stuff. I just thought that was pretty cool when I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
that.
All of them had their own thing. Leslie wore a N95 mask,
Yeah,
and then Claire, or Catherine's character, right? Claire, because
mhm.
she's a senator, she wore a mask, but you could tell that she kept forgetting sometimes her mask. Like even when she opened the door to the person who dropped off the gift or the puzzle, she just opens the door and then realizes that she's not wearing her mask. She's like, "Oh crap! Let me cover my face while." I'm like,
Yeah.
just grab the
Right.
damn, just grab the package, right? Who cares,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So she has like two different types of minds, which um I think we could all agree that most polit- politicians have two sides to their thought process: the one they really do
Right.
and the one they show everybody else, right?
Mhm.
Right.
But that's a whole different story. But yeah, so they eventually, and then you have them all unlock or figure out the puzzle, right? Except for Janelle's character, which I believe is Helen is her name, right?
Yeah.
Helen, she just goes and just smashes the box. She's like, I don't got time to try and figure out this puzzle. It just destroys the box and just grabs the letter and goes, yeah, okay, right. So then
Yeah.
the next scene is they all are meeting in Greece, and you can quickly tell that the rest of the group doesn't like Helen whatsoever, and
Mhm.
they're kind of
Not
like,
Helen.
oh
They don't like
dang,
Andy. They don't like
Oh
Andy.
no, they don't like Andy. Yeah, that's right. I was like, who's Helen?
Yeah. Helen is
isn't
the sister.
So
No. So they don't. It's
Janelle,
not that they don't like Helen. They think it's Andy.
yeah, and they don't like Andy.
It's not that they don't like Andy. They're wondering how she's there.
who date? Okay. Now you're confusing me. Who dates Miles? Is it Helen
Andy.
or Andy?
Andy
Andy.
Andy.
does.
Oh,
Yeah.
Andy.
okay. I thought
Andy
Helen
is
was
the
the one.
OG.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I see. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right then.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah.
And there's a reason why he's getting mixed up, and it's, I think, probably the one thing that makes it a little disruptive, if you will.
Right. Well, yeah. So they eventually get to the island, and then that's when you meet Ethan Hawke's in it, right? He sprays
Yeah. Yeah.
all their mouth with some kind of
Cure.
um yeah, I
He
guess.
basically says
Cure
it's like
from
a
COVID.
cure.
You know what my
Yeah.
favorite part though is? This is the part that really got me when I listened to it, because Detective Blanc, right? He goes and he said, "Oh, what is that? Is it some kind of disinfectant?" I started busting up. I'm like, why would he spray you with a disinfectant in your mouth? Which I'm sure is a is a joke towards the whole drink bleach situation that was so it's like,
Oh.
is that some kind of disinfectant? And I'm just like, wow, that's so dumb. But I thought it was hilarious to
That's
like
true.
sneak that in there. And I don't, so I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was like his only scene. And the funny, I was thinking to myself, I was like, how much did they pay Ethan to do this 30-second scene?
Probably a lot.
I know,
A
right?
lot. You know what I mean? Well, to piggyback off of what you were just saying, so basically everybody got this box and they were able to get to the meeting place that essentially
Yeah.
brings them all to Miles Bronze Island,
Mhm.
or where Miles invited everyone to do a murder mystery
Yeah.
at his crib, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just see all of a sudden Benoit Blanc showing up at the meeting place and essentially being on the island. You're just like, how exactly was he invited? You never really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
because of that, Miles is probably the most confused. He's like, I didn't give you a box. He's like, I got the box. You know what I mean? It's just so funny.
True, and I could be wrong, but if I remember well, uh, Miles says that he sent out 5 boxes, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he said that before they ever got to the island. So I was thinking to myself, like, wait, if there's 5 boxes, why does the Detective Blanc have one? That doesn't make sense. That
Right.
would be 6 people. So I was very confused. And then it is like once they get to the island, he's like, hey, can you like come with me? And then he's like, why the heck are you here? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so there are only 5 boxes. And I was also confused, like, how did he get a box then? And obviously they come to the point where he's like, somebody must have reassembled, not
It was
reassembled,
like a
but like
prototype
put
or
back,
something.
closed it up or a prototype or something, and then send it to him because they wanted him to come and everything. And so they,
Yeah.
Miles just thinks, oh, this is somebody's like pulling my chain pretty much. It's like, oh, one of the guys, somebody downstairs brought you because it'd be cool to have a real detective come and do this murder mystery with us or whatever. So it's like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
You know what's interesting is that Miles never questioned Andy.
No, I mean,
Like, he knew that there was a box at her house,
yeah,
but he should have known that she wouldn't have been there. Like, there was a lot of things that but then again, his character, explained by Blanc, is he's an idiot.
Yep.
So there was no way he would have questioned Andy, none
Right.
whatsoever.
right.
And
So
he wouldn't
that-
question at all.
he would never have questioned. However, if he did, everything would have been like, "Oh, you're not Andy. What are you doing here, you imposter?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
Right.
that's where the rest of the crew is just like,
Oh my goodness. Now that you said imposter, Blanc was playing that Among Us game while he was in the tub when he got
Yeah.
his box.
with
And then
Kareem
this
and
whole
Abdul
thing was
Jabbar.
imposter, like Among Us. Wow. Good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Good
Yeah,
one.
Definitely.
super foreshadow.
A lot of foreshadowing
Right.
here. A lot.
Oh, a bunch. And I think as like both this one and the other one, I think they're movies that deserve to be watched
Like 3 times.
multiple times. Yeah, multiple
Yeah.
times because you kind of like get when you watch it the first time and they kind of like resolve it and you're like, oh yeah, now that all makes sense. But but if you watch it a second time or a third time, then you're like, oh dang, how did I miss such an obvious foreshadow or obvious giveaway of something that was going to happen in the movie, right? And
Mhm.
obviously it's because we're not paying attention to that. We're trying to solve a murder before the movie ends.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
I
well,
am.
I was over here when I was watching it with Angel was the only one that stayed up. Everybody else fell asleep. It was in between me, Angel, and Paulina, my wife. Actually, no, Paulina didn't even see it. She was watching her own show. So it was just me and Angel. So we were just like sitting there trying to figure out who it is, missing all the clues that were all in plain sight. And we're like, oh, it's him. No, it's got to be them. They're over there plotting. Wait, no, it's, that was me the whole time. And I think when that happens is in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna step back because I'm probably overthinking it. And sure enough, I was super overthinking it because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, I
one
was-
of the ones that I was thinking it was the murder.
Definitely, there were moments where I was in the same boat. I was like, "Oh man, I'm overthinking the situation too much." So I had to like step back. But like I said, there were 2 twists. I think there were 2 main twists that that really took me for. I was like, "Oh dang, I didn't see that coming." Well, once we get to those points, I'll definitely point them out. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that I didn't catch those parts ahead of time because, like I said, there's something we just I don't know if we talked about it recently or maybe it was just a movie I just watched, but I was like, oh, I saw that coming. And when they pointed it out, I was like, surprise, surprise. Oh no, who knew that was going to be the bad person? Like it was a good movie, but I was like, I already knew who the killer was. Like 20 minutes into the movie. So what? It was a movie.
Oh,
We
are you
just
sure it was
reviewed
not
it.
Wednesday?
Oh yeah, Wednesday, right? That's what it was.
No.
Where I'm like, oh, I already know who the bad person was. That's what.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
it,
Leo, it's because me and you are overthinking it, and is over here saying it's the hair. So we totally lost.
yeah.
That's the
watch that
monster. No,
episode.
that's just the
No, no.
monster.
No,
I
that's
didn't
the- yeah,
guess
you're
the
right.
bad guy. I just
Right,
guessed
right.
who the monster was. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It was the
Yeah,
hair.
no, but like I said, it was a great show. I thought it was great, but I already knew who the killer was by the second episode. I was like, or who the main bad guy, I guess if you want to put it that way, was by the second episode. So I enjoyed that this one. When I thought I knew something, the twist came, and I was like, dang, I didn't see that coming. And then I was like, okay, now I got it. Nope. Again, I was like, dang, man, these are some good twists. I'm liking it.
Yeah,
Get me on my toes.
The twist in this movie was incredible, and I think the biggest part for me was figuring out that there was a twin involved.
Yeah,
And that was one of
thinking-
them.
I was
that was
thinking,
wonderful.
okay, that changes my whole mindset of the entire movie.
Yep.
Granted, I kind of figured who the main bad person was going to be. I just didn't know
Uh-huh.
how he was going to be it.
Mhm.
And that's why when I saw the twist it was in a great spot of the movie too. It was like right in the middle. I felt
Mhm.
it was like right
Yeah.
smack dab in the middle, and then you just watch basically the whole thing again, but in a different perspective.
Perspective.
Right,
And I love that. I love different perspective.
That one was awesome.
Films. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and just seeing Helen now portray her sister, which
Right.
was I thought was kind of cute how they had their own like a very posh way of doing things, the rich girl thing.
The
You know what I
southern,
mean?
the
So-
southern accent too, and
hmm
Andy's posh.
They were
you
like just
said.
Southern belles,
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. But that twist was a huge one for me. Like I was just like, okay, well, now that I know there's a second Janelle Monáe character, things have vastly changed. Now I know that the reason why she was never really around wasn't because she didn't like everybody, which actually makes sense to her character because of what all of them did to Andy.
Hmm.
Of course, they all think she hates him, and
Right.
and you have
Because-
Claire being like, "What do you want? What do you want from us?" She knows she all guilty. It's all like boiling in her chest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just eating about it.
And it's just crazy because that was Andy's crew first, not Miles's crew. What the heck?
Exactly. Miles was bought into the crew.
Yeah, but he got the money.
So he purchased them.
He got the money. Well, actually, his money came from Andy. I thought.
Andy's idea.
I believe.
No.
Andy's like-
He was always the rich person in the group. He had the
Oh.
connections. That's why everybody started like leading towards him because he was the
Oh.
one connecting them in every aspect of
Mhm.
their careers and lives or whatever.
Okay.
Because he had the cash money.
Yep.
But yeah, that was definitely like when that scene came where you meet Helen. Forgive me, everybody. I'm really bad with names, and to me, they were the same freaking person. But when you meet Helen, I was like, "Wait, who is this person?" I was so confused. I was like, "Wait, is she just pretending?" Because I'm like, "Did she have an accent this entire time?" Because you're watching the first half of this movie, and she doesn't have that thick of a Southern accent,
Mm-mm.
right? And then now she comes in and she's like just talking all like Southern and everything, and it's real like thick, and you're just kind of like,
Mhm.
wait, what the heck is going on? Why is she talking that way? It took me the longest time to realize that it was her sister. It was her twin sister, right? And even then, I was like, is it though, or is she pretending to be a twin because nobody ever mentioned that she had a twin. So is she pretending
No,
to
she
be
didn't.
her own like sister and not really have one? So it was real confusing at first, and then as it went back to the island, and they were like kind of showing all the scenes again in the island. Okay, I'm like, oh, okay. So this really is her twin sister, and what's her face? I forgot what's the first girl's name? The one that died?
Andy.
Yeah.
Andy. And Andy really did die, and so I was like, I think it was the scene, maybe somewhere around where Blanc and Helen are talking in the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I'm like, okay, now I'm convinced this this isn't Andy and it really is Helen.
Yeah, man.
Because I was waiting for a twist. I was waiting for her to be pretending that she was faking being her own twin sister, and she never actually had one, right? That she was just playing two parts.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's
but
what
then
I thought was the case there.
She also explained the murder and how she came around, which is why the box that they had shown her open, she busted it open. I thought she was just, madly aggressive and frustrated with the box that she didn't want to solve, puzzles like the other one or the rest of them. But she
Right.
couldn't. The fact is that she couldn't figure out the box. She couldn't do the puzzle.
Right.
She just smashed it, and then she brought it over to Blanc, which is like the world's greatest detective. But he was no Batman, and that's what he said. That's pretty cool. That was funny. Uh, but yeah, that's how they got Blanc up in there. But I wanted to talk about the two, murderers, because the first one was the one that Blanc all of a sudden just solved right away, and then let's talk
Mhm.
about okay. So the first one is the one that Miles created,
Orchestrated.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
orchestrated, and then the second one, let's talk about the actual murder that happened. Yeah, the first one was it was the arrow one, right? And then Miles had
Yeah.
this little thing on his chest, and he would squeeze it and it would, like,
The blood diamond.
catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the arrow pops out of his shirt or whatever. Goes,
He's just sitting there, all of a sudden,
that
like
was
an arrow,
hilarious.
like, what?
That
I
was
thought it was
hilarious.
cool.
I
I thought it was cool. Like what
But
was
I-
supposed to be a whole weekend was solved in a matter of minutes.
yeah, it's like, but it's funny how like Blanc kind of just like so like because whoever solves it wins. He's like, what do we win?
Yeah,
It's
he's like, we'll
what?
give you an
Like,
iPad, okay?
what? Well, what do we win? What do we get if we win? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, like, what would you want? It's like, I don't know, like an iPad or something, right? and then was he like kind of like, fine, we'll give you an iPad, and they kind of like discuss it. He's like, all right, then I figured it out already. It's like, this is what happened next. This is what happened. It's like, it was Birdie this entire time. I'm just like, you don't bring the world most famous detective,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
to your murder mystery, and think that your murder mystery is gonna last you
Like the whole
the
weekend.
entire weekend.
Mhm.
It only
Right.
lasted like a fraction of it.
So
Right.
for me with the murders in the movie, normally when you see a murder mystery, you kind of get all the clues while you're watching the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't enough clues in the beginning for me to kind of get like a nice, idea of the movie or of the mystery. It wasn't until a little bit after Helen was introduced that I'm like, okay, but how? Of course, that's always the case, is how.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting how they made two stories up based on how Miles kills Duke. Okay. What he does, he shows us in the first half that Duke grabbed his drink,
Yep.
where in actuality, Miles passed Duke his drink.
Mm-hmm.
And the camera actually tripped us out by actually showing Duke grabbing it instead of grabbing it from Miles. He grabbed it from the table. They did that. That was like a nice camera trick. I want to say it's old school, but it worked. It was perfect. I was convinced that he picked it up. It wasn't until, of course, Blanc was talking about it. He's like, no, you handed it to him. He painted a picture
Mhm.
in everyone's head that Duke picked it up.
You're right.
No. I thought that was
Right.
brilliant work. Kudos to the cameraman. I don't know where or who your name is, but amazing.
You know what's not brilliant?
Or editor. It was the editor too.
You know what's not brilliant? The fact that he put pineapple juice in this man's cup. He was allergic to it. Blanc was like,
That is true.
he's like, it's so dumb. And then Birdie's like, it's brilliant. And he's like, no, it's just dumb.
No, it's just dumb. No, I thought that was pretty interesting, right? Like, talking about the swap, the cup
Yeah,
swap,
that was
right?
pretty cool.
So when because it's true, right? They did it's like, oh, how do you think it happened or whatever, and you see that the camera that it goes back like a flashback,
Mhm.
and he grabs the cup out of off the table, but then Blanc says that's not how it happened, right? Did you really see him pick it off the table, or did you see someone
That's
hand
true.
him a drink, right? And so it goes back to a flashback of him being handed the drink, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, wait, is that how it
Yo.
really happened? I rewind the movie to that part of the scene to watch how it really happened. And yeah, I was like, oh, he does hand him the drink. And you yourself are not even paying attention
Yup.
to the
Mhm.
fact that there it is. He hands him the drink. And in your own head, when he asks them, why did he pick up the drink? In my own head, before they even showed the scene, I'm like, yeah, he picked up the drink from the table. So it was really cool that it wasn't just like, personally, I think it wasn't just the people in the movie that was being asked that question. It was the audience, like
Yeah,
us,
it was
being asked
us,
the same
yeah.
questions. Like, was it just did he pick it up from the table, or was it handed to him? And I'm like, wait, no, he picked it up. So when I rewinded and watched that scene again, the original before he actually died, I was like, oh dang, he really was handed the cup. That was brilliant. That was some
Yeah.
good
I didn't even-
directing.
I didn't even think about rewinding it to see if that was true or not.
Same.
Oh
I-
yeah,
I just thought it was shown. It wasn't shown at the time of the switch. I didn't realize there was a scene where there was an actual switch. I thought it was actually a scene that kind of like how, the Helen and Blanc scene, how that
Mhm.
scene didn't happen in the beginning. I thought it was one of those scenes. But now I'm thinking, oh, well, I guess it's not.
not only
it's not
that,
as cool
not
as I
only that.
thought.
No, but it's so much, like, it's so brilliant. It's such a great work. Not only that, like, so Duke loved his gun, right? You see him have his gun all the time. I mean, when he got to Greece, he shot, or no, Whiskey was the one shooting it in the air,
Mhm.
right? When they first got to Greece, which I was like, are guns even allowed in Greece? Which was a
Right.
whole different story, right? But so he was shooting in the air or whatever, and he carries it all the time, because they even make a comment like are you really gonna have? He had it at the pool, and he's like, I always carry my gun with me, right?
Yep, right there. I always keep my gun.
And so yeah, and so when he's dead, he doesn't have his gun anymore,
Mhm.
right? So we find out, obviously. So wait, did we talk about who killed him?
So Duke
Did we already talk
dies.
about who the killer is?
So no, but
Who-
Duke
no, we did
dies.
not.
He gets poisoned.
Right, he gets poisoned.
But a
Well,
sleight of
he doesn't
hand,
get poisoned
apparently.
technically. He gets anaphylactic shock.
Yeah.
Purposely allergified. Allergified.
My
I don't think that's a real word, but
Well,
Right?
if
And-
that's not a real word, Miles probably made it up.
Oh, that's true.
that is true.
That's true.
So
Good.
when
That's a
he
good one.
when he died, I had two people in my head that were the killers. Because
Who weren't
this
or
was
were?
to me, who were the killers.
Who were the
So
killers?
first of all, I didn't. The second twist to me was Duke dying. I didn't think Duke was gonna die.
Same.
So when they killed Duke, I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. I really thought that the person who was going to get killed was going to be Miles. I was very certain of that, right? So when he didn't die and it was Duke die, I was like, dang, okay, that was a good twist. I didn't expect that. So when he died, I only had two people in my mind that was the killer. Either it was Miles or it was Whiskey, which is Duke's girlfriend. And I'm like, one of those two people killed Duke. And the reason why I thought it was Whiskey for a little bit was because she felt inferior to Duke, or not that she felt inferior, but that she was always underestimated. Right? You find out that she's actually very smart, because when she was talking to Helen,
Mhm.
right? She was like, nah, this is what I'm gonna do, and all this stuff, and blah blah. Like
She knew her role.
She
knew her
had
role.
knowledge,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? But people underestimated her because she was just, pretty, And
So
it's
check
like,
it
oh, so
out.
it's,
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that Duke is your twist, his death. My second twist was Whiskey with Miles in front of Duke. The whole reason behind it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
However,
yeah.
if it wasn't for that conversation that you just said between Helen and Whiskey, then it would never have made sense. Like later on,
right.
and Duke was actually trying to reach out to Miles, and Miles is like, nah. And now Whiskey did show up as one of the suspects, like how you had it. However, the only reason why I knocked her off almost as soon as it happened was her attitude going into the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Her attitude going into the dinner was standoffish, and it wasn't towards Duke. It was towards Miles.
Yep.
Duke and Whiskey they weren't really dating in a sense. They were just using each other. She was using Duke's platform to get bigger. Makes sense.
Followers.
And she played his she played his eye candy. So that's basically all it was. It was a business partnership that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so her standoffish attitude towards Miles made it very known that okay, her and Duke are actually in it together.
I can see that.
Yeah. And when he died, she was tripping. She was like, "Yo, what?" You know what I mean?
Well, so here's my thing. Like, so the reason why I thought it was her, because even though what you say may be true, which they were, to me, they were definitely in a relationship. They were
100%.
they were working together for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And she was probably using them to some extent, obviously, to get bigger, right?
Yeah.
But when he kind of forces her to sleep with Miles to get information out of him, I was like, that to me is what kind of why in my mind I thought maybe she's the killer, because she has to do something she doesn't want to do. She doesn't want to sleep with Miles, right? But she's kind of like put in a predicament where she needs to sleep with Miles,
right,
in order for Duke to get whatever that well, he wanted to go to something, right? He wanted to become some kind of
part of Alpha
influencer.
You want to
That's
be
what
part
it
of
was.
Alpha, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and it was only for a little bit. Like when he died, and it's like, oh dang, did she do it or did Miles do it? Because Miles started acting too freaked out by the situation. He's like, I don't trust none of you. I don't want, get away from me. Stay away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I was like, you might be the killer.
That makes sense.
So, but
True.
I was like, I was kind of confused for a second there. But then I think it didn't last very long for Whiskey. For like, it lasted for a moment. And then when I realized how much she was really crying over Duke's death, and I was like, it could be fake. I was like, I feel like it's too obvious to be Whiskey, right? I mean, it's obvious to be Miles as well, but Miles is just, he seems like the kind of person who would kill him. I just don't understand why yet. Like that was the thing, is like, I couldn't figure out why Miles wanted to kill Duke, right? And until I had that kind of understood, which obviously we kind of find out eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
The information was withheld.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Once you figured out why Duke was killed, then you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Miles to me was like definitely the person I was leaning towards. And the more it went on, the more I was like, it's gonna be Miles. I'm pretty sure it's Miles. Right. So and so I think there's an important scene where so Blanc solves the mystery, the murder mystery, right? The game one. And then obviously Miles is pissed because he spent a lot of time trying to get it done.
Yeah.
And so he takes Blanc upstairs to his glass onion, and he's like, dang, man, you kind of ruined that for us. Now we got to sit here for the next 3 days, just twiddling our thumbs pretty much, because you just ruined the whole thing. And what is it that what Blanc says? He says, I did that on purpose, right? I purposely ruined your game because you don't realize everybody hates you here.
Yeah. He pretty much tells them that you don't realize the situation that you put yourself in.
Right.
End, because with all seriousness, we have people that they have something against you, Miles, and
Yeah.
Now he was like, it was just funny because of the fact that I think you're talking about the foreshadowing part here.
So sort of, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like where Miles pretty much tells them is like it's like you're giving these people you're putting a gun on the table and then putting out the lights and expecting nobody to grab it and kill you with it,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Hmm.
So you kind of come to the conclusion it's like, oh,
Yeah, that's true.
I can see why he ruined
Yeah.
ruined the game, right? So what happens after they come back downstairs? The lights go out, right?
Mhm.
And everybody starts freaking out. And who gets shot?
Andy or Helen.
Right, right. All you see is a glove and a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and they shoot through the like. I guess was it a one-way mirror or was it just that it was dark and you couldn't see on the other side? I
It was
couldn't
a
really
rich
tell.
guy. It was a rich guy window, so it's probably
Peekaboo mirror.
one-sided. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Oh,
you can
the
only see
one-way
outside.
mirrors?
One mirror mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I was
you
like, whatever
see
is
she
the
gets
most
shot.
richest.
Yeah, you see that she gets shot, and that's where the movie kind of goes into the halftime, and then
Yeah.
rewinds back to the beginning of
Blanc getting the
Helen's
box.
story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
Helen's
from Helen, right?
perspective.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
was like, at that point where she gets shot, Blanca's very like emotional, but like he was a little bit too emotional, and of course it's because he put Tabasco in his eyes, so to make it look like he was actually caring. And then Angel was like, "Why is he so upset?" I'm like, "Because that's her. That was his client, and she just died." No, he didn't actually just die. That's another twist. She didn't die. The
Yo,
book that she
you
had
know what? I
on
totally,
her saved
Yeah.
her
yeah,
life.
Antonio
I totally
Brown.
forgot. I totally forgot about that twist. That twist also got me. That's why I like this movie. This movie had
Yeah.
it kept surprising me. But I really when she got shot, I was just like, yo, how did you just kill her? Like, what the freak?
Yeah.
I was like, you killed two people in this movie?
Mhm. Yeah.
I was mind blown. And then that's when you have the whole reversal situation going on, and you're like, what the heck is going on? So yeah, so you watch the whole thing, you realize that everybody hates Miles, but at the
Yep.
same time, everybody is as Helen put it, hanging on his golden titty. because
He's
because
not lying.
without him, they won't be where they are today, right?
Yeah.
So they all hate him, but they all know they need him
Right.
to continue to be successful in whatever they're doing.
And it's all because of that
Uh,
clear product. Clear with the K.
Clear. I another obvious like a joke to things that people think are like cool but aren't, right? Cool with a
Mhm.
K.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right, it's like clear with a K. Oh, okay, whatever. You're trying to be hip, but you're really not, right?
like-
He's not original. You start realizing he's not original in any way, right?
Mhm.
Like he says it throughout the whole movie. It's like, oh, the box was created by so and so, right? He didn't create the box. Somebody else. He
No.
paid somebody else to do it.
a lot
The
of money,
murder
too.
mystery. Yeah, the murder mystery was created by somebody else who is apparently a writer for mystery novels. I forgot her name, but he paid a murder mystery novelist to write the murder mystery to his own murder mystery.
Yeah.
Right.
And Blanc was like, "Oh, she's great."
One of the things that I noticed was when he was playing the guitar, when they all came to the island, right? He was playing the guitar and he said it was Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney is left-handed, right?
Oh.
From the Beatles.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is Paul McCartney's guitar, but he's playing it right-handed. But Paul McCartney is left-handed. So I was just like, but in my mind, I was just like, oh, that's cool. And it wasn't until later, I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense why you're playing his guitar right-handed.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was
didn't
pretty
catch
funny.
that. I didn't catch that
Yeah.
at all. That's cool.
So I
Speaking
thought
of-
that was pretty funny. But yeah, you start realizing how dumb Miles really is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of Beatles, the title "Glass Onion" wasn't that a song by the Beatles also?
It was. It is, or it is. Not that the song doesn't exist anymore. It is. There is a song by the Beatles called Glass Onion.
Yeah,
It looked more like an egg to me.
it did.
Yo, it
but
really did,
it
didn't it?
did.
You know, to each their own. You know, maybe Greece
I mean,
has.
Maybe it was more like
Glass
a
onions,
like
like
a
that.
scallion potato. You know, because the scallion
Oh,
potatoes
I
are
could,
like.
yeah. with
I mean,
the-
Oh, I
onions
can
are
see
like
that.
this. Scallion
but don't
onions.
they have like
are like-
roots that go out of those?
It's obviously
Maybe.
inside of the building.
It's the building.
Yeah.
I thought the building was like the dirt. No.
Oh, I liked how Helen just wrecked his glass onion, his whole place. She just picked up
The bar?
all of the glass statues, busted it open, bam, 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 and then I was like, what did Blanc hand it to her? What did he hand her? Like when he says something to her. Like, oh, he
Oh,
tells her that it's beyond my jurisdiction, and then
yeah, pretty
Right,
much.
yeah.
and you do what you do best
Yeah.
or something like that. And then she just wrecks the place, and then she just had
Like she did the box.
yeah, and she had the clear product,
Clear.
the hydrogen, whatever it is, some kind of solid explosive chemical, obviously. So she had that,
It was-
and
It was solidified hydrogen crystal. That's what it was, right? Which was what clear was. Clear is because the clear was supposed to be like this whole new renewed energy,
Mhm.
idea that
Fuel.
he had.
Yeah.
Fuel, right? Which Leslie's character was the scientist behind it,
Yep.
right? And so that's what that little crystal thing was just a hydrogen crystal, I guess you can
Yep.
say, which was super duper unstable.
And
Right?
Lionel was needed like 2 more years to test it.
Yeah, he kept saying he needed more time.
Yeah. And Miles was like, no, we need to do it now because I got some famous people coming and they're going to want to put money in this, which makes sense. And I think this was his first actual idea, despite the non-testing that, he was going to push through. I thought that was incredibly strange. And I'm just like, I wouldn't do that. Like I would listen to the scientist. He
Well-
said blowing up, he didn't care. Miles didn't care. He wanted to make money. And of course, Blanc, like I said, Blanc thought that Miles was an absolute idiot, which he is.
Well, no, and Lionel told him, it's like like you said, we need to test this longer. We need to do more
Mhm.
testing, right? And then Miles pretty much tells him, it's like, we are testing it right now because this entire mansion is being run by Clear. So we come to find out that that Miles is the killer. Surprise, surprise, right? And Helen actually didn't get killed. She had like you said, she had a book that protected her from the gunshot, and then there was hot sauce that was poured on her, and then that's the same tobacco sauce or hot sauce, what do you want to call this? But he
By
put
Jared
Blanc put
Leto.
on his eyes. hmm So talking about when he killed Duke, when I rewinded it and watched him hand the cup to him and everything, in that same scene is because the reason why he killed him was because Duke got an alert that Andy was her name,
Yeah.
right? Andy was murdered,
Yep.
and he knows that Miles did it because Miles almost ran him over on the way to Andy's house.
Yep.
Right. So that's why he killed him. And in that scene where he's showing him the phone and everything, you can see when the camera backs up, you can see Miles grab something and put it behind his back, which is the gun he pulls off of him and puts it behind his back. And I'm just like, how did we miss that? It was so obvious when he put it
Yep.
behind his back. I was like, how did we miss that whole scene? It was crazy. It was crazy. So
I
yeah,
know
you come to find out.
a lot of stuff was in plain sight, like the fact that when they were swimming in, he's like, "Oh, nice car," kind of like the car you almost pancaked me in on your way from
Yeah,
Andy's
exactly.
house. And I was like,
Right.
why didn't I catch that? Because to me, it was
Me
just
too.
like, it's just like, it's just them
Anderson
talking.
Cooper?
Yeah, it was like it's just talking, just a filler. not. It was
Right.
no
Right,
filler.
right. I guess that's where you like everything in this movie, everything in, and apparently they're making Knives Out 3.
3. Yeah.
So we need to be very aware of everything everybody says
And
right
their-
off
and
the
their
Everything is in
beginning.
plain sight with
and
this
their
movie,
hands.
though.
Yeah.
Everything was, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!"
Well,
That's
not
what I was saying.
everything.
Is we were just overlooking it, like literally.
Helen was one thing that we wouldn't have figured out until we
True.
got into the middle.
Yeah.
That was
True.
probably
Yeah.
that's why a lot of it just did that huge shift. And
Well,
yeah,
so now the question is that true though? I'm going to rewatch this movie and I'm going to find out if Helen was ever mentioned before she was revealed. Because
I don't think so.
I feel like
No,
we'll
'cause
find out.
the
I don't
friends
think
knew
so.
who she was. Claire was like Helen.
Well,
She said-
Miles
No,
didn't even
no,
know who she was.
No, because nobody knew that she had a twin sister.
Yeah, Miles didn't even know.
Nobody knew she had
No,
a twin sister.
well, Miles isn't as close as the other 4 were.
Yeah,
And I believe that Claire knew.
but you would have thought that
I
he would
believe
have
that Claire
known
knew.
that his partner, would have a.
Well,
twin
she
sister.
doesn't. Well, maybe. I was just saying, like, because
Hmm.
remember now these 5 were tight before Miles came.
Before
into the
Miles came
picture.
in, yeah.
Yeah, so they had to have at least met her once, and I believe Claire knew who Helen was. That's why
I want to.
I'm saying that, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I would have to go back.
I'm pretty sure that nobody knew she had a twin sister, and I don't even think because Claire. The only thing Claire said was there's something up with her. She's not acting normal,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think she was obviously talking about Andy not acting normal. So that's
Yeah.
why I don't think Claire knew that was Helen, and I don't think anybody knew that she had a sister. If they did, they did
Or-
a good job of hiding it.
Well, remember now, the 4 didn't know Andy was dead either.
Right.
So there was no way they would have known it was Helen until
That's
after
true,
they
too.
found out. Yeah.
That's
it wasn't.
true. You
And then when
make a good
Duke
point
found
there.
out it wasn't Andy
Mhm.
that was there, he wasn't surprised. But then again, he used that to his advantage to get Miles to put him on Alpha. So yeah, that's that. What a twist, And
There were
you
plenty
know,
of them.
trying to look at things that I necessarily didn't find appealing in the show. Now, like there was a character Daryl or Darrell. I don't know how to say his name, but
Yeah.
he was a bunch of random times he was there, and I was just like, "Who's this guy again? Who's this guy again?" I was like,
He's a disruptor.
"Is he important?" And you see him smoking next to Blanc at the foot of the island.
Pretty much
And
at
I'm
the
just
end.
like, huh? What's going on over here? I was like, who is this guy? Is he important? He's just there. And from what you said earlier, he's in most of Ryan Johnson's films.
Yeah, he's definitely in. He's kind of like Tim Burton and what's his face, Johnny Depp. Like Johnny Depp is in pretty much not all of them, but like he's in a lot of his movies,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or think of like
Adam Sandler and his crew.
Adam Sandler in his crew, pretty much,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like that. Like the guy who plays Daryl or whatever is just somebody that he puts in his movies, and joins in. But
Well, I really don't have any issues with the movie. Like, there's nothing in the movie that I didn't think had any. I guess like the chemistry between the crew was actually very nice.
Yeah.
And their personalities, was great. Was a great contrast with each other. The 2 people that were invited, Whiskey and Peg, they were both it made sense to their because I want to call them like sub characters to the main characters.
Mhm.
Whereas you have Birdie J, who is just like
Supporting
very gaudy kind of,
characters.
I gotta be in the spotlight, versus Peg, who is like, you gotta stay focused, don't do anything stupid, please listen to me.
Which she did a
Which-
bunch of things.
Yes. Oh, she
Like
she
the
even had a
sweatshop?
secret. Yeah, the sweatshop she thought
I
made
was
sweatpants.
dying. Like,
Bro,
please don't tell me you
wow.
thought
Yeah.
they made
Yeah.
sweatpants there.
And
And she
then-
just got it on her head. She's like, oh.
Yeah. And then with Whiskey's whole reason of being there with Duke, it made sense. She was there for business. No matter,
Mhm.
no matter what
Yeah.
it is that she had to do. I thought
Well,
at
I
first,
have Really, nothing either. Actually, I like I said,
Wow.
this movie,
Julio
this
has
movie had
nothing,
me
guys.
going the whole time. Like I enjoyed every second of it. I really did because
Mhm.
it kept making me reevaluate the my hypothesis, my theories, my conspiracies, whatever you want
Mhm.
to call them,
Mhm.
right? I was like, oh shoot, that wasn't it. Oh shoot, that wasn't it either. What the heck is going on? Like I said, I figured out that that Miles was the bad guy pretty early on, like pretty much right after Duke dies. You kind of already, I'm like, okay, I think it's Miles, right? There was, like I said, there was a moment where I'm like, maybe it's whiskey, but
Yeah.
eventually I was like, nah, it's Miles, right? So it wasn't surprising when we find out it is Miles who is the
Yeah,
killer.
it
I
wasn't.
really hope one day I just watch one where I'm so convinced that so and so is a killer, and to find out it wasn't even that person. Like that would be the greatest murder mystery movie I'll ever watch in my entire life. One that really has me convinced of somebody that isn't it until the very end.
Yeah, yeah. That would be. That would be. Well, all
And
right.
that's really my only complaint.
Okay. Well, then I want to say the grade might be almost unanimous, but I'll start off with my grade. I believe that the cast was a great cast. The all the chemistry on screen was amazing. I was a little sad that Leslie Odom Jr. didn't sing because that dude can sing. Okay, and it was. Oh, and also Janelle Monae. I thought they were
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
was
maybe
gonna
like
say she's a good singer
a
too, guys.
karaoke duet. You know what I mean? Just like a nice, smooth duet between the two of them.
I'm
But then
pretty sure they
again, it
could
was
fit that in.
they could have maybe it's a
Yeah,
deleted scene. Who knows?
maybe.
However, they got some pipes, and it would be awesome to hear them sing. And so yeah, the chemistry of the cast was amazing. The story, the plot was great. It started off simple and then it became very complex as the story started to unfold. So I'm gonna have to give this A plus for me. A plus.
Dang. I don't know. I couldn't say I didn't see that coming because it was a good movie. It was a great movie. Like you said, cast was great. It was very properly constructed, I believe. How they got them all together, and they all had their own professions. Like you said, Leonel was like the chemist, and we got the senator or um the politician. So there was just all these other traditional careers or up, and then we got Duke, of course, the guy with the Twitch account or on YouTube,
The famous Twitch
the
streamer. Yeah.
famous Twitch streamer, which we didn't see. We didn't really disclose why he got killed, and basically he was showing Miles that, hey, look, it looks like Andy got killed or whatever. And then that was his opportunity to tell Miles to give him what he wanted, and that's why Miles targeted him instead. But like, and just for that simple reason, there's just so many twists and turns, and I don't think there's enough. I think there's enough time for us to talk about it, but there's a lot. I don't. There's just a lot to talk about. I think I'm gonna give it an A plus. With this movie, that's crazy because I don't really give out A pluses that much. I think the last A plus I gave out was the Batman. I think maybe that was an A,
Batman.
but yeah,
I agree. Like, there's so much more you could talk about this movie. Like, just the characters themselves. We didn't even go into like each character and their personalities and stuff because the characters were all really well made. Such such a diverse group of characters, and each one is so enjoyable to watch in their own right because they all had something. They all brought something great to the movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would give this an A minus. And the only reason, like I said, if I went the entire movie thinking it was Miles, and then to come find out that it was Birdie who killed Duke, I would have been this is A plus because I did not see Birdie coming out being the murderer, you know. So just because I like I said, maybe I'll say like 5 minutes into the after Duke gets killed, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's Miles. I just don't know why Miles did it, but I'm pretty sure it's Miles. That was the only reason. It's like, okay, I kind of figured out who the murderer was, but all the other twists in them, the twin sister, that she didn't die, that, you know, what was the other? Oh, that Duke is the one that got killed instead of somebody else, right? Or Miles, like that. Those were, that's why it got an A minus for me, or the A part. The minus just because I figured out it was Miles, and I hope that maybe the next one, I'm thinking it's one person, and it's freaking Detective Blanc that kills everybody, and I would be like, wow, I didn't see that coming at all.
That'd be the weirdest movie.
No, I agree. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. I just want to be surprised at who the killer is at the end. That's my thing. I just want to be surprised with that. Right. Just like all the other twists really got me, I want that twist to also be the case.
That's a good one. I mean, that's a good grade. It's a little, based off of just your preference, which makes sense because it's our preferred grade.
I was gonna say,
but if like the movie itself, we all believe is an amazing movie. And with that, we're going to wrap this episode up. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube. Also, don't forget to listen to us on Anchor FM, where you can pick us up or listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Spotify, and Radio Public. And don't forget to watch our video on youtube.com. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later, guys.